Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for spending time with me again today. I'm very excited today to be chatting with Jacqui Holmes, who is an art and craft teacher. Jacqui, please will you tell us a little bit more about your business and why you started it?
Thanks, Melanie. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here. I own a stained glass art studio in Port Elizabeth. It's on the same property as my home. So I teach a few times a week. I also take commissions and do repairs and restorations, except for churches and cathedrals. And I carry a range of tools and equipment and stained glass as well for people who are hobbyists to come in and shop. So I sometimes have a small amount of ready-made stock that people want to pop in and buy a small gift quickly. I started the business, it'll be 10 years in January. And the reason was my little boy was starting school. And I was really looking for a business opportunity that I could focus on from home, because it would give me more flexibility in terms of being at school and being at sports and getting involved in the school. And I'd taken this up as a hobby. A friend of mine actually taught me. She'd learnt in Zambia. And I just decided to give it a try. I did some research. There aren't really many stained glass artists in PE that do work for other people. So I just like a wish and a bit of faith, and I jumped in. We were doing some alterations here anyway, so we just added on a small section for the studio, and it has grown quite a bit. I've now stolen some of the garage and joined it in. So yes, that's why I'm here, and that's why I started, and it's been wonderful. I'm passionate about glass, and I love sharing it with other people.
That's awesome. I know there are a lot of people who want to start their own businesses that give them flexibility to spend more time with their kids. So it's great to hear that you were actually able to do that.
Yes, no, I've been really blessed. It's been great. So I basically haven't missed anything. I've been able to be there for sports and other events and functions. So I'm really glad it worked out like that.
Now, I don't think there are that many stained glass artists in South Africa, are there?
There are a few. There's studios. I've found studios in almost all. There's at least one person in almost all the provinces. My furthest client is in Springbok, which I think is right near the Namibian border.
Yes.
And from time to time, I ship stuff out to her. So they're mostly in the Gauteng region. There are a few studios, and in KwaZulu-Natal, and then in Cape Town. So they are dotted around. People don't seem to really be aware of them, though, because I find that when people do find me, they don't, they're shocked. I didn't even know there was someone nearby that did this. So there are people. There are only 3 companies that import glass from overseas. So the glass that I use is imported. It's manufactured mostly in the United States. It's quite an art just to do the glass. So all the patterns and colors and designs are part of the glass from the manufacturing process. So there's 3 main importers, and then they supply out to the other smaller studios around the country.
Okay. So there are no local manufacturers of glass in South Africa?
Not stained glass, no. It's quite an operation you have to set up. It's still very labor intensive. So there are actually quite a few really good YouTube videos, short YouTube videos that show people how glass is manufactured. So they still use furnaces. So as I said, it's very labor intensive. So the guys actually approach the furnaces with a massive heat proof. It looks a bit like an old-fashioned bucket with poles on the side, and then they throw the molten glass in there. They go to a metal table, which they normally have an artist on site who mixes up the pigments. So that in itself is a massive task. It's not something that just anyone can do. They throw the color in, they mix it up, and when they're happy with the distribution of the color, they put it through rollers, and it rolls this glass out flat onto a conveyor belt. And then it obviously goes along and it goes into massive kilns where it's fired and annealed, and then out the other side where it's cut. So it's a lot of manpower, and it's a very specialized thing. And the laws are very strict about emissions from the manufacturing centers. So you have to have incredibly expensive filtration systems set up and in place obviously for pollution and to stay eco-friendly. So to set up an operation like that would cost an unbelievable amount of money. And also it's not, stained glass isn't as big in South Africa as it is in the United States. So yes, I think at the moment it's just more cost effective, even though our rand is very weak, it's more cost effective to bring the glass in from overseas. But it's very interesting to watch. There are a few video clips on YouTube. The shortest, most interesting one is by a glass manufacturing company in the States called Kokomo. So they've been around since the late 1800s. It's a family-owned business, so it's just passed down through the generations, and it's very interesting to watch.
Wow.
So I don't stand and paint the glass.
Okay. So the glass itself actually has color in it.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't do any of my own glass staining.
Okay. That's really interesting. Thank you. I'm definitely going to go and look for that video when we finish chatting. Now, so stained glass, just for those who are watching who don't know, that's when you kind of put the different colors of glass between, is it lead?
Yes, there's two methods. So the one method is what we call the lead came method. And that is where you get strips of lead and there are slots on either side. So you tap the glass into it. So you cut the glass into whatever designs you want, and you tap it into those lead pieces, and then you join it all together and you use a special putty. You get a special kind of putty that looks a bit like black mud, and you use that to strengthen it. And though that method is used mostly but not exclusively for anything that's going to face the outdoors. So your windows and doors that are exposed on one side to the outside, it's a stronger method in terms of facing weather, wind and rain, and so forth. Then you get another method called the copper foil method. When you actually look at the two, sometimes they don't look that different. But the copper foil method, you have to actually wrap each piece of glass in the specialized foil, and then you can solder it together. So that's used mainly in smaller projects. You can use that method if it's an internal door and the panel's not very big. I did one recently for a lady on her farm. She had a swing door in her kitchen that led somewhere else within the house. So I used that method to make her panel. So there are two different methods, and they're quite different. The process is actually very different.
Okay, it sounds like it. And your students, which method do they prefer?
I normally teach, every week my teaching is the copper foil method. And then during the course of the year, I'll hold 3 or 4 workshops to teach the lead cane method. It takes a lot longer to teach. So whereas someone can do a beginner's workshop, normally one beginner's workshop, and I can take them through all the steps for copper foil. For the lead, it's over a 2 or 3 day period to start and complete a small basic project. So then I put together special events for that, and I can only take a limited amount of people because you need a lot of space in order to be able to work properly. So it's not a method. The lead method I don't teach all the time. Yes.
And the equipment for the craft, is it quite pricey?
No, not really. If I look around at other arts and crafts and what people pay for supplies for them, you get basic glass cutters and pliers, which range from 200 Rand to 385 Rand, depending on what you're buying. But those items last you for a very long time. The most expensive piece of equipment is a glass grinder. which you do need if you're going to do it properly. Otherwise, you're just going to become frustrated. And that is the most expensive. The most expensive grinder currently on the market is just over 5,000 Rand. But you also get ones for smaller ones for about 3,500, 3,800 Rand. But that's also another piece of equipment that will last you for years and years. I've still got the original one that I bought when I started out as a hobby. There's very little that can go wrong with them and very few moving parts. So it's basically just the diamond bit on it that you grind the glass with that needs to be replaced from time to time.
Okay.
So once you've sort of bought your little starter kit and So once you've bought your starter kit, those are things that will last you for many years before you have to start replacing them. The grinder, I actually couldn't, they just go on and on for a long time. I haven't, of all the grinders that I've bought, and I've also bought secondhand ones, I haven't had one pack up on me. So I just change the bits every so often and they just keep going.
Okay, so the startup costs might be a little bit scary for some people, but once you've got your equipment, you don't have to keep buying equipment.
No, and also people who come do workshops with me, I don't require them to buy all the equipment. So if they're doing workshops here, they use all my studio tools and equipment. And then some of them buy as they go along. And I mean, there are obviously people who come and buy the whole kit straight off the top, but very few actually do that. So they don't have to buy their kit to come and work here. It's all set up in the studio, yes.
Okay. And how big are your classes normally?
I don't normally take, at the moment, with COVID, I only started trading again in the middle of July. So I was only allowed 3 people in a workshop at a time. And now I'm doing 4 people, but I can't really take more than 6 at a time. It's quite a hands-on process. Not like some crafts where you can sort of have 20 people in front of you and you can teach them and it's very successful like that. You have to really spend quite a bit of one-on-one time with each person in your workshop, especially when they're just starting out. So it's quite difficult for me to have a lot of people that I have to try and help as the workshop progresses. Also, my studio is quite small, so I don't really have space for, if I'm going to do it properly and make sure everyone feels like they're getting the attention they need, then I need 6 is my absolute limit.
Okay. And how long are your workshops?
All my workshops are 3.5 hours long.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense. I think longer than that, most people aren't able to concentrate.
No, what I have found, I think just because life is so stressful, I've always been someone who said you have to find something that you can go and do, that you can just find your happy place and lose yourself in that. So I find a lot of people, they literally just zone out and work. And also it's a very sociable thing. So a lot of people that come, we stop and we have a break and we have coffee and cake or biscuits or whatever. And on a Monday evening, because I also do a Monday evening class, people are welcome to bring their wine and have a glass of wine while they're working. So and lots of people have made really good friends in class. So it's also about just the social connection and interaction with other people. Which is really special. So a lot of the ladies who come in here they've been coming to me for years. And I've had a lot of men come through my workshops as well. So yeah, I think it's just about socializing as well as creating something that, that's a part of you.
Absolutely. So what kind of challenges have you faced growing this business?
One of the big things was, the first big thing, and it's a myth that I tried to sort of eliminate or bust from the very beginning, is that a lot of people think that stained glass is only in churches and cathedrals. So as soon as you mention stained glass, they think of some old massive cathedral somewhere with a stained glass with a Last Supper or something. And I mean, those are magnificent works of art, especially the really old ones that were made centuries ago where they didn't have what we have today in terms of advancement and tools and equipment. But there's so much you can do with it. But from making small little decor items for your home, bigger items, doors and windows. I've created stuff, and we've created things that people wouldn't imagine that you could do in stained glass. So that's been my big thing, is to try and get people into the workshop. They don't have to make a church window.
Okay.
They can make a vase.
Yes.
So that was one of my challenges. My other challenge was, obviously, it's quite expensive. So for me to, because none of the suppliers give anyone terms.
Okay.
So when you place orders, you have to pay up front. So by the time, I mean, the stock is mine when it gets here, I don't owe anything on it after that. So you obviously have to, your cash flow, you've got to keep a tight handle on that. So that when you need things, you have the capital and the cash flow to be able to place the orders. So that was one of the other things that I really struggled in the beginning, but I'm pretty much on top of that now. Obviously COVID hit me hard because I just couldn't trade at all. So the studio didn't have any income for 3 months. But thank goodness I was able to sort of ride that storm out, and now things have picked up a. So I've always found from about the beginning of October, things really pick up in terms of orders, and people suddenly want repairs done, and people want to buy gifts. And of course, I also offer gift vouchers. So I found that really picks up, and I actually have to have a cutoff time around now, actually, sort of into the first week in November, where I have to stop taking orders, which is really nice. And then most of the people, I say to them, I can do stuff for you again in January. And I'd say 96% of the time people are happy to wait until the January, which is great, because then I hit the ground running for the new year during the quietest months of the year for some people.
Okay. So it's actually a seasonal business.
I wouldn't say so much seasonal. I think it's basically depends more on, that period after Christmas, where it's January and February, no one's got money. So it's definitely affected by that. But no, I find in terms of workshops and that, it's pretty consistent. And when it does go up suddenly, and I suddenly have a lot of new people, it doesn't seem to be related to any specific season in the year or any event in the year or anything like that.
Okay.
I find more and more people now are searching for something arty that they can do, as I said earlier, just because of stress and just to find a happy place for a while.
Absolutely. And what do you enjoy most about what you do, Jacqui?
Experimenting is my trying stuff. I don't like to think in the box. I don't have a box. So I'll often try things that I haven't seen before, or I've seen 2 or 3 different types of things before, and I'll try and combine them. And the best example actually is every year for a couple of years, I have made some form of created some form of art piece for a fundraiser that happens in PE for the Cancer Association. And then they put them on exhibition. They get a whole lot of different artists that use different mediums. They put them on exhibition, and all those items go for an auction. So this year we've actually been given one of those mannequins, the top of the mannequin, or a bodice, I think it's called, literally a blank one. And the brief is body, mind, and soul, create something. So I'm actually busy with doing the bits of the elements for that this morning, which I'm going to attach to it. So it's really, I haven't ever worked with glass on something like that before. But I'm on a roll. I think I've got it. So
it sounds like it's going to be fabulous.
Yeah, I'm a step-by-step photo person. So there'll be photos of the bodice, and then like as I add bits and pieces to it.
Okay.
Yeah, so different things, you know.
I hope you're going to post those on our group.
Yes, I will as soon as I'm done.
Thank you.
I've still got, my deadline is 10 days away.
Okay.
But as soon as I'm done, I'm sure they'll be happy for me to post it. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And you may have to do it after the show. I don't know if they want you to show it off before it's seen.
I don't know. I'll find out and then take it from there.
Okay, because we'd love to see that. I'd love to see where that goes.
Thanks.
Yes.
Thanks. Yeah, no, it's very interesting. It's the most challenging thing I've done so far, I think. Most challenging thing.
Okay. And what sort of colors do you enjoy working in?
My favorite colors are green and blue. So I have to keep telling myself, because that's the whole thing as well about being an artist and creating things for other people, is you've got your own favorite set of colors and tastes and that, but other people might hate that. So you've got to think yellow and pink and whatever other colors that you wouldn't actually put into your home. And remember that someone else is going to love that in those colors. I have to keep reminding myself, because my natural instinct is to pull out a piece of blue glass or a piece of green glass. Okay. So I do, I think about it and I say, no, some people don't like those. Yes. So, yes, yeah, it's great fun. So everything I do, and I try not to make something the exact same thing twice. If for some reason somebody does want something and I have permission, obviously, to reproduce it, then I will always do something in different. I'll always do something to it to tweak it so that it's not exactly the same.
Okay. And do you do any repairs?
Yes, I do repairs on lampshades. I've done repairs on a variety of other decor items. I've done repairs on residential doors and windows. So I do that as well.
Is that quite a tricky thing compared to making from scratch?
Totally. It's a totally different playing field. So, and I think that's one of the things that people don't understand. You know, you spoke about challenges earlier, and the one that I should have mentioned is people don't, and I'm sure all artists will say this, is that people don't understand the cost of your materials or the amount of time that goes into creating that. So repairing something is much trickier than in making it from scratch. And some of the things I get, really, I'd rather just make them from scratch, because it's an absolute mission. Okay, so yes, I enjoy doing it. I prefer doing things from scratch, but it's actually, I make quite a nice income from repairs. But I do charge. I'm not afraid to charge for them, because it's hours and hours and hours of work. You've basically got to dismantle something, put in new bits, and reassemble it. Okay. So it takes a lot of time.
And be careful that you don't break the bits that you've just disassembled.
That too, yes. We want to try not break stuff that wasn't broken when it got there. No, for sure.
Doesn't sound like the kind of job I'd feel comfortable with.
Well, so, I enjoy it, but by the end of the year, I'm kind of done with repairs. I'm like, yes.
Need a break from it now.
Yes, totally.
Okay. So, Jacqui, if anybody would like to get in touch with you online, where can they find you?
I have a website. It's at www.classyart.co.za. So my classy glass. So it's CLASSY glass, all one word, .co.za. And then on my website are the links out to my Facebook page, my business page, and out to my Instagram page. So they can contact me on any of those. My WhatsApp actually, my business page actually has a WhatsApp function, so you can WhatsApp me directly from there. Okay. And then, or on my cell phone, my number's 082-7822-381.
Okay.
So that people can contact. It's good to go and have a look at. I always ask people to go and have a look at my work, because sometimes, with different people, it's like painters. They've got different techniques, and so it might not be something that you're looking for. You want something that's done a little bit differently or has different themes through it. So I always encourage people to go and have a look because there's loads of photos
Okay.
of all different types of things. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so
And
much.
look at my book.
Have you
And
got
my
a
book.
book?
I've got a book. I published a book in 2014, or Metz Press published it.
Okay.
So it's in English and Afrikaans in South Africa. It's a how-to book
Okay.
with 34 step-by-step projects in it. And then it's also gone out to Finland, and about 18 months ago, it went on a co-publishing deal to the United States.
Oh, wow.
So,
Congratulations.
yeah, so there's
That's
also
very
that.
exciting.
And I find people love that. They found it quite useful, especially if they're far away and they can't come to workshops easily. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Did you know I've also published with Metz?
No. What did you publish with Metz?
I've done
The
two.
name
Yes.
looks familiar.
I've done 2 books with them in 2010 and 2013. So it's lovely to meet another Metz Press author.
Yes, absolutely.
Yay.
Absolutely.
Part of the Metz family.
Absolutely. Lovely people.
Yay. So, Jacqui,
Yeah.
it was an absolute delight to chat with you today. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. And I hope that the people watching are inspired and get in touch with you.
Thanks very much. Thanks for having me. I enjoyed meeting you and chatting.
It's a pleasure.